Please like and subscribe. Let's grow NAIA basketball. Thank you. Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAIA basketball one podcast at a time. Hey, Cascade Hoops Talk, this is Billy D. Today's Thursday, December 7th. Ask all my listeners, please remember all the sailors that lost their lives at the beginning of World War II at Pearl Harbor. Over 3,000 sailors died that day. We just want to make sure they're not forgotten and we remember this day. Thank you. A lot of games last night. We're going to talk about that. We're going to update you on some standings in the conferences. I think that's when NAIA basketball gets really fun, when those conference races start heating up. And then we're going to have Brendan Rooney. He's the head men's basketball coach at Menlo College, the Oaks. They play in the GSAC. So why don't we get right to it? So last night, Grace went up to Michigan Dearborn, and they played Michigan Dearborn. They won that game 101-57. They kind of manhandled them in that game. Big Elijah Malone, he's a problem. 26 points, 12 rebounds. Jake Wadding, one of the best utility guys in the country, 13 points, 6 rebounds. Grace is just rolling at 10-0. You know, we're gonna have to see what happens when they get on the road in the GPAC, the Crossroads. Sorry, guys, but right now they're just really red hot and rolling. And on December 12th, they're back in action. They're playing another non-conference game against Lindsey Wilson. Number 2, College of Idaho, they played an exhibition game against Northwest Nazarene, which is about 10-15 minutes from College of Idaho. It's a rivalry game, obviously. It's an exhibition game because Northwest Nazarene is NC2A Division II. They used to be in the Cascade Conference, so when they play, everybody in the Cascade Conference roots for College of Idaho to beat them, to tell them how much we miss them. So they beat them 68-66. Of course, the Yotes stay at 6-2, but they got the big win. It was a pride win, not only for College of Idaho, but for the Cascade Conference. Samaji Morgan, 20 points, 4 assists. Drew Wyman, 12 points, 2 rebounds. College of Idaho's back in action on Saturday. They're going to play their rival, Eastern Oregon. Number 4, Oklahoma Wesleyan, out to avenge that loss to Southwestern. They traveled to Tabor. They beat them 79-61. The Eagles, they go to 9-1. DJ Talton, he had 15 points, 2 rebounds. Dylan Phillip, 16 points, 3 rebounds. As I said, they go to 9-1, and they'll play York on Saturday. LSU Shreveport, they won tonight. Boy, there was a battle. In the first half, it really honestly looked like they were in some trouble. But give the Pilots some credit. They fought back. They were able to earn this victory over Loyola, and they won it there at the end. They go to 7-0. Paul King for the Pilots, 14 points, 5 assists. Damon Davis, 15 points, 7 rebounds. The 4-point victory gives the Pilots a record of 7-0. They're back in action December 14th. They're going to go to Our Lady of the Lake. Number 11, Southwestern, one of the hottest teams in the country. They go to 10-0 tonight. They hosted Bethel, a good team, the Bethel Threshers. This is the Kansas Bethel. It was a KCAC game. Southwestern wins this one 71-58, takes them to 10-0. In this game, Kevin Clark, sorry I covered his name, 30 points, 4 rebounds. Justin DeMaria, 11 points, 3 rebounds. That dude can hoop. So they're back in action on Saturday. They'll play Friends, another KCAC game. Northwestern, a lot of GPAC action last night. They took on Dakota Wesleyan at home. They beat them pretty handily, 97-89. Northwestern goes to 8-1 now. Alex Van Kalsbeek, Mr. Dependable there for the Raiders. 21 points, 10 rebounds. Dylan Carlson, 16 points, 3 rebounds. Northwestern stays home on Saturday and hosts Doane as the GPAC now is in full tilt. Number 16, Morningside, another GPAC team. They went up to Jamestown. Always a tough place to play. Regardless of records, they're still the Jimmies. Morningside loses this one, 91-81. So the Mustangs now, they go to 6-2. Silas Binion for the Jimmies, the transfer out of LC State, 28 points, 9 rebounds. He had a great game. Jimmy Linus for the Jimmies, 15 points, 7 rebounds. Morningside will, they'll also be at home on Saturday, and they're going to play Midland. So those were the games tonight. I want to walk you through a couple of standings real quick before we talk to Brendan Rooney. So the GPAC tonight, we talked about the games. A couple others we didn't mention. Dort beat Briarcliff. They beat them by almost 20. That was a surprise that they beat them that bad. Concordia beat Mount Marty. That was expected. Midland beat Doane. And as we said, Northwestern beat Dakota Wesleyan. So in the GPAC, Hastings is 5-0, and they're leading the pack right now. A little bit of a surprise. It's just a little bit of a surprise right now. But boy, I guarantee you that GPAC's gonna get mixed up. They all start at the start of the season. They all start at 0-0 within no 0 games of each other, right? And at the end of the year, they play 21 games or 20. Whatever it is, they play 20-something games, and at the end of the season, they're all within a half game of each other. They don't settle anything during the regular season. I mean, they'll have 9 teams tied for first. It is the most insane conference I've ever followed. So we'll just keep an eye on this and see how this GPAC plays out this year. Also, the Appalachian Conference, they're starting to heat up pretty good. Columbia International, they beat Milligan tonight. Johnson beat Reinhardt. Bryan beat Montreat. And Union, knock, knock, they beat Tennessee Wesleyan. So look at these standings. Columbia International, when's the last time you didn't see Union at the top of there? Columbia International is at the top of the AAC standings at 7-1, followed by Union at 6-2 and Pikeville at 5-2. So as you can see, there's other ones we'll go through on different shows, but the conferences are really starting to settle out, and we'll start as much as we can. I would rather focus a show on the conferences than the top 25. So we'll see how that plays out. So we talked to Brendan Rooney. They're 9-1. They've won 6 games. They play there in the GSAC. And he's a really good guy, and he's a great coach, and he's got a great team, and let's listen to him. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Brendan Rooney on the phone. He's the head men's basketball coach over at Menlo, the Menlo Oaks, or if you prefer, the Menlo Mighty Oaks. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, Billy D. Thanks so much for having me on. It's we love what you do for small college basketball, and love when we're able to trade messages, and even more so when we're able to talk. So I appreciate your time, son.
So you've been on a roll. I think you're 9-1. You fell to Montana. Where did you play Montana State Northern?
So we played them at the Bill Holtz tournament, which William Jessup University holds. So we played Southern Oregon on that Friday, and then played Montana Northern on that Saturday. So it was actually a really good weekend of hoops. Definitely wish we would come out 2-0, but it was kind of had that atmosphere of the postseason, kind of one location. It was really good basketball between the 4 teams.
That win over Southern Oregon is looking better and better. They swept College Idaho and Eastern Oregon last weekend. There was a lot of question marks as just how good they'd be after losing so many graduates, but that win is looking really good right now.
Yeah, Matt does a great job there, and that was a really good challenge for us. They got us the year before at the same tournament, so I think our guys were pretty motivated for it, and they're big and physical. One of the teams that's just bigger than us at the majority of the positions. So it was it was a back and forth game, and have a ton of respect for how they run the program. So yeah, we're definitely excited about that one, and to see them beat a team like College of Idaho, like you said, makes the win look a little bit better. But yeah, they're a good team. I definitely see them beat a national tournament team again.
Yeah, Matt's done a great job there since he went there. You beat Merced. A lot of people would say, "Well, this is a Calpac team. You beat them by two." But they beat Jessup. They've got some good wins under their belt. That must be a pretty good team.
They are. That was a knockdown, drag out game. So double overtime. Coach Pham over there, he's been there quite some time. Did a really good job on the women's side, and then moved over to the men's side. And they're good. They're really tough, especially at home. It's a really tough place to play. They sit down in a stance, really guard. Then they have some dynamic guards. Chris Brumau was a guy who played really well against us. He had come off a game where he had scored 20 plus on a Division I game. So yeah, I could see them being kind of that top spot or that top two spot in the Calpac.
Yeah.
Kind of once again see them getting them one of the automatic berths in the Calpac. So yeah, they're a good team. A ton of respect for how they run their program. They're really, really good.
Okay, I want to talk about your team. I got one more schedule question. So you went into Cal Maritime, you beat them pretty handily, but did that have any special significance going back there and playing?
It's always great, to kind of be in the old stomping grounds, and you see a few familiar faces. So there's definitely a little bit of that nostalgic nature. And ironically, we have one guy on our team, so Landon Seaman, our leading scorer. He had actually committed to me or to us when we were at Cal Maritime. So it's funny bringing him back and kind of going through the stories of the campus tour and kind of the arduous recruiting process. So it's good to be back there. A lot of good memories, not only my time there as head coach, but my brother's really successful 10 years there. We were just back for his Hall of Fame induction there and one of our Hall of Fame teams. So it was really good to kind of bring back some of those memories.
So you've got a pretty good group. You just mentioned Landon Seaman. He's playing great basketball, isn't he? 22 points a game. What is he shooting? 66%. Hey, talk about his game.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's just put in a ton of work. So he came in as a freshman in our COVID year, so we didn't play any games, and we had two pretty good big guys in front of him in Corey Lau-Pepe, who's an all-conference guy, and Ziggy Lauese, who's a good physical player. And so he has totally paid his dues. I remember calling him after a Friday of a week of practice and telling him, like, hey, just stick with it. Like, I promise you're going to be good. Because, as a freshman, he didn't know which way it was up and the whole deal. And he had one of the best responses I've ever had. He said, hey, coach, don't worry. Like, I'm just glad I get to play college basketball, right? Which is so unique in kind of the landscape we have where everyone wants instant gratification. So for him to put in all that work, and you saw a little bit of the bright spots last year when Corey went down. He had a game of 38 and a game of 27 in the same week. And then, he's kind of taken the reins, had a phenomenal offseason. He's a guy, he wasn't finished in a ton with his left hand last year, and he's done a great job of developing that. And the offense, it runs through him. He's really efficient, has done a better job this year of handling double teams. So he's definitely a guy that we count on to be a focal point of our offense and kind of rely on his efficiency there.
You guys are really winning games by defending, out rebounding, and taking care of the basketball. You shoot really high percentage from inside the two, but you struggle a little bit from the three. That's kind of my read of your team. Talk to me. Tell us how you're winning all these games. What is it that makes Menlo Oaks good this year?
Yeah, I think we're really sharing the ball, kind of like you're saying. We feel like we have some really good three-point shooters that they haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
A guy like Kaido Williams, he can really shoot it. I look forward to him kind of continuing to do that. Eric Blackwell was 40% on a ton of attempts in junior college, so we think that's going to kind of be, hopefully what gets us over the top. But we changed our offense this year to kind of have a lot more passing and cutting, making sure guys are touching the ball. But I think it just goes to the guys we have. Like they really care about each other. There's no guy trying to get his. And I think you kind of see that in the balanced attack. I think when it's all said and done, we could have 5 guys in double figures. I think we have 5 that are, 9.8 or above right now. Because they don't really care who gets it, right? And I think the guards understand if Landon gets the ball inside and we can have that presence, then we can kind of share it, going the other way, inside out threes and 45 cuts. And then from a defensive perspective, I feel like we've done a better job being physical on the ball. We're fairly big. Our point guard is 6'4", We go 6'4", 6'2", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". So I think it allows us to have switchable lineups. But I think it just comes down to the quality of guy and the fact that they don't care about their individual success. It's more about, what does the team need for the right pass or the right shot.
Well, coach, I think any coach in the country, if they said if you were going to struggle at something right now, what would it be? They say, well, I'll struggle on the 3-point line as long as I'm rebounding, defending, and taking care of the ball, because those are a lot harder things to improve. The 3-point shooting, like you said, it's going to come around. I mean, it's one of those things. It's infectious. Guys miss, and then all of a sudden they'll start hitting. And I mean, these are basketball players. They're not going to miss forever.
For sure. And I think the thing that this team's done better job is when it's not falling. It's not like we're trying to go square peg round hole, right? It's like, okay, it's not falling tonight. I think in that Merced double overtime game, I think we shot 15% from three. So it's like, hey, let's get the ball inside, or let's attack a long closeout. Let's make sure that we're not just trying to shoot when we're not feeling it that night, or we're not getting the great quality threes we want. I want to continue to just kind of attack the rim and play with pace.
So, Coach, you're this year, last year in the GSAC, you're going over, I can't remember the name of the conference. You're going NC2A Division II. What's the name of that conference, Brendan?
The Pac West.
Well, I struggled with that when I talked to Lance Von Vogt the other day too. But anyway, is it a distraction for your program? I know there's a lot of compliance things you have to put together. There's a lot of administrative changes that have to be made. Is that a distraction for your program right now?
It really hasn't been, to be honest. I think that credit goes to our administration as far as Keith Vitaro, Alexa Danes, kind of their whole staff as far as handling all the things they need to. We're starting to do some of the compliance stuff with CARA logs and all that good stuff. But as far as our guys day to day, it doesn't really change it. I think they're excited about the move and all of that, but I think they're really focused on this year and making sure we make the most out of our last year in the GSAC, and kind of let our head be where our feet are. Let's
talk about the GSAC for a second. You got some teams there you're really going to have to contend with. The Jessup is always going to be tough. I've seen them play. They're better than their record. Obviously, Arizona Christian, OUAZ, they lost a ton of guys, but they're going to be good. I know I'm going to start missing people, but it looks like the GSAC is going to be just as tough as ever.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. That's what we've kind of told our guys, like, hey, the preseason's great, but we got to get ready for, that first weekend. We have ACU and Ottawa coming in, which are two Elite Eight teams from last year. And, as cliche, and I listen to a ton of your podcast, everyone thinks, their conference is great, right? And there's a bias to that. And we're not any different, right? We feel like we have a lot of teams that can win games in the national tournament. You look at us last year, we were top 25 in the country at one point, and then we don't make the conference tournament, right? So I think it's as strong as it's ever been. It's unique in the sense of only having 8 teams this year, where the whole conference season is played in the second semester. But it's going to be tough. It's going to come down to those 1-2 possession games because ACU kind of leads the way, but Masters is really good. Ottawa did a great job with their recruiting class, and they're guys that were in the program and saw success last year. They just got better, right? Bill Check at Hope, he's in the national tournament every year. Vanguard got picked 7th, and they go and beat College of Idaho.
Yep.
Right? By dang near 30, and those guys hadn't lost in about 54 weeks. Jessup, like you said, we got to see them live. They're really good. They're big. They're physical, and they have a 2-time All-American in Miles Corey. And then the team that I think is going to surprise people too is Life. They have really dynamic guards. They got a couple transfers that are instant players. So yeah, it's as cliche as it is, as Coach speak, is there's no off nights. There are no off nights, right? If you don't play well, anyone can beat anyone. And the crazy part is we have 6 teams that are going to make the conference tournament, where if you look at different rating systems like the Massey, we're going to have teams that are going to be top 50 in the country that won't make the conference tournament. So just got to kind of, be in our foxhole and worry about getting better, because if you're always looking at those scores, which, we're all doing to some degree, but, it can be a little daunting when you're seeing teams that are beating number 1 team in the country and, what Masters is able to do going out to Florida. So it's going to be a battle for sure.
Yeah, that was a huge win. I was really remiss not bringing up the Masters. That was a huge win when they went out and beat Florida Memorial. They dropped that one to Kaiser, but they were back-to-back in Florida. Masters is really good. Uh, and like you said, hope is always good, and Vanguard beat college, right? I mean, what a conference.
For sure. I mean, yeah, it's top to bottom. You have some really good players. I think, looking at like a Caleb Lowry, who was GSAC Player of the Year last year. I mean, he's a mid-major, Division I player. They got Ty Harper, who's a former ESPN top 100 guy, and so it's littered with really good players and really good coaches. But I think as a competitor, that's what you want to be around. I think guys don't want to just walk into a game and it be a 30 or 40 point deal. I think coaches, we would sleep a little bit better, but same thing as competitors, we want to play really good teams and challenge ourselves and kind of see where we measure up.
So, Coach, what is it going to take? You've got a couple 3 weeks now before you start playing GSAC. What is it going to take for you guys to compete, make that tournament, make some noise in the GSAC?
Yeah, I think we just got to keep getting better as a unit, and making sure that we develop our depth. Because when you see it, our starting five are all kind of in that 10 points game, and we need some guys to emerge from our second unit to be able to give us that, because there's always those games in conference or conference tournament where a guy that maybe not on the first sheet of the scout hits a couple big shots, and then we just need to keep coming together. It's the closest team I've ever had. Ironically, we let them pick where they wanted to live on campus, and so we have 14 out of our 15 guys live on campus, and they all decided to live in the same hall. Nice. So that could go really, really bad, or it could go really, really well. And so it's gone really, really well in that sense. So I think as we continue to just grow on the floor the way they have off the floor, I think that's going to be the key to kind of getting over the top like we need to in the GSAC.
Well, Coach, it's going to be exciting when we get to the first of the year and that GSAC play starts in earnest, and you guys start doing your round robin. I'm really looking forward to that. I wish you the best of luck as you make your final run through the GSAC.
No, I appreciate it, Billy D. It's it's going to be sad to leave. Excited about the Pac West, but definitely some of the rivalries and just the juggernaut that is the GSAC will be missed. But really appreciate all you do for NAIA basketball. Your podcast is a must listen in my household. So really appreciate it and look forward to being in touch.
Thank you. That's very kind. That's Brendan Rooney. He's the head men's basketball coach of the Menlo Oaks. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot to Brendan Rooney and to Menlo College. As he said, he's making this last run through the GSAC. I'm sure it's probably going to be a bit emotional, but also exciting going to a new conference. Quick update. You better tune in tomorrow. We're going to have Ryan Cottingham. Remember, they were Spring Arbor was national champions just a few years back, 2019. He's the head men's basketball coach at Spring Arbor. We're going to talk a little bit of Spring Arbor Cougar basketball. Another really nice guy. You want to tune in for that tomorrow. And then on Friday night, we're going to go down to Corbin down in Salem, Oregon. They're taking on their in-conference rival, which is Bushnell, and we're going to cover that game live and get some interviews at that game and hopefully do some player interviews right after the game. So I'm really looking forward to that. So you can watch for that on the YouTube and on Twitter. So thanks a lot to everybody for listening. I really appreciate it. And get out and support your favorite team, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.